What's old is new again. Welcome to Ms. Mojo, and today we're counting down our picks for the top 10 movies you didn't realize were based on classic literature. For this list, we're looking at films that you may not have realized were inspired by classic plays or books because of their modern setting. Number 10. Othello. One of Shakespeare's best-known tragedies, Othello doesn't seem like the best fit for a high school adaptation, considering that the original is about Venetian soldiers. But the 2001 movie O attempted to do just that, making the major characters teenagers on a basketball team.
Put them in! What time is it, team? Alright, let's do this!
Somehow, it actually works. We guess themes of jealousy and betrayal are just universal.
And I'll tell you something else, too. And I'm very proud to say this publicly. I love him like my own son.
All of the film's major characters have names based on the one Shakespeare created. Mekhi Phifer plays Odin, aka Othello, Josh Hartnett is Hugo, based on Iago, and Julia Stiles is Desi, based on Desdemona.
If you want to ask me if I'm cheating on you, go ahead, get some balls and ask. No, I'm not.
Number 9. A Knight's Tale, The Canterbury Tales.
Well, you should bow.
Some entries on our list attempt to closely adapt classic stories to make them fresh and modern, but this one takes a different approach. There is a tale in Geoffrey Chaucer's work The Canterbury Tales called A Knight's Tale, but the 2001 film doesn't try to follow the story told in it. Instead, the filmmakers inserted Chaucer himself into the narrative.
And here before you now, the son of John Thatcher, Sir William Thatcher!
The film's director Brian Helgeland talks in the DVD commentary about how he imagined that the film took place during 6 months that Chaucer went missing, and that this explains what he was up to all along.
Fine, well, it was allegorical.
Oh, we won't hold that against you. That's for each man to decide for himself.
Number 8. The Lion King, Hamlet.
Dad, come on. You gotta get up. Dad.
Up until The Lion King was released in 1994, all of Disney's animated feature films had been based on prior work.
What did you say?
Nothing.
This was meant to be their first original story, though they borrowed heavily from some well-known tales for inspiration, including the biblical stories of Moses and Joseph. But they also borrowed elements from Shakespeare's Hamlet, which is evident to anyone who's familiar with the play. For the uninitiated, Hamlet is about a prince who seeks revenge on his uncle for killing his father and seizing the throne. Yeah, sounds pretty familiar.
Give me one good reason why I shouldn't rip you apart.
Oh, Simba, you must understand. The pressures of ruling a kingdom
are no longer yours. Step down, Scar.
Number 7. Pretty Woman, Pygmalion.
Not that I expect you to help me, but I have all of this, okay? I have to buy a dress for dinner tonight, and nobody will help me.
Moviegoers love a makeover scene, and if you see a woman going from frumpy to fabulous in a film, it most likely owes something to George Bernard Shaw's play Pygmalion. Inspired by a Greek myth in which a sculptor falls in love with his sculpture, Shaw's play was adapted into the musical My Fair Lady, about a phonetics professor and a flower girl. The idea of a man from a higher social station making a woman over also runs through the Julia Roberts classic Pretty Woman, in which a prostitute with a heart of gold is transformed into a respectable lady.
I'm sorry. I wasn't prepared to answer questions about us. It was stupid and cruel.
From our perspective, the concept seems a bit dated, but hey, it was made 3 decades ago.
So what happened after he climbed up the tower and rescued her?
She rescues him right back.
Number 6. She's the Man, 12th Night.
I know. If there's anything I can do, you just say the word.
As a matter of fact, there is. We want to try out for the boys' team.
Anything besides that?
The plays of the Bard may have been written many generations ago, yet they clearly still have a modern appeal.
Sometimes I just think you just might as well be your brother. You know what? If you can't join him, beat him.
Another modern Shakespeare adaptation on our list is the 2006 teen comedy She's the Man, starring Amanda Bynes, which takes inspiration from the farcical and comedic Twelfth Night. The play is full of love triangles, mistaken identities, and of course, the primary character is a woman disguising herself as her twin brother. The motivations may be different in this more contemporary take, but the story still holds up.
All right, so everybody understand?
Yeah, I get it.
Okay.
Number 5. Easy A, The Scarlet Letter. 2010's Easy A was strikingly modern when it was released, tackling the issue of slut-shaming long before it became such a pervasive issue in the cultural consciousness. But the story borrows from a much older work in order to tell a 21st century tale.
Tell me! Fine! We did it. Yes! Finally! Now you're a super slut like me.
The script wasn't just inspired by Nathaniel Hawthorne's novel The Scarlet Letter, which is set in puritanical 17th century, but it references it heavily as well.
You know, you're starting to get a reputation. And you're coming off as a little pious.
Olive embraces her bad reputation and fashions herself a letter A, for adulteress, to wear on her chest, just like Hester Prynne is forced to do in The Scarlet Letter, except that Olive does it voluntarily and with pride.
Brandon told me what you did for him.
Oh, well, rest assured it was equally as thrilling for me.
No, he told me the truth.
Number 4. Cruel Intentions, Les Liaisons Dangereuses.
Cecile is planning on, going away with Court next week. I'll need you to speed up her sexual awakening.
I'm at your service.
When Cruel Intentions was released in 1999, it seemed incredibly racy. But in fact, the book that it was based on came out over 200 years earlier in 1782. The French epistolary novel Les Liaisons Dangereuses is about two wealthy aristocrats who use their powers of seduction to stir up drama and manipulate their enemies.
Count me in.
What are the terms?
If I win, then that hot little car of yours is mine.
The plot of the film and the novel follow remarkably similar trajectories until the ending, where not only does Sebastian's character die, Catherine's character gets smallpox, destroying her beauty, and Annette's character falls ill and dies as well. Yikes.
It saddens me to start our new school year off with such a mournful tone.
Number 3. Bridget Jones's Diary, Pride and Prejudice.
Mother, I do not need a blind date, particularly not with some verbally incontinent spinster who smokes like a chimney, drinks like a fish, and dresses like her mother.
Technically, the film Bridget Jones's Diary was based on Helen Fielding's novel of the same name, but the book in turn was inspired by Jane Austen's famed novel Pride and Prejudice. Fielding gave her male lead the same surname as the character in Austen's work, and crafted a narrative about a headstrong young woman who ends up falling for a man she initially thought she hated.
I like you. Very much.
Apart from the smoking, and the drinking, and the vulgar mother, and the verbal
No,
diarrhea.
I like you very much. Just as you are.
The ties between these two pieces of fiction run deep, considering that Colin Firth, who plays Mark Darcy in Bridget Jones, also played Mr. Fitzwilliam Darcy in the 1995 BBC adaptation of Austen's novel. Not only that, the two projects also share a screenwriter, Andrew Davies.
So, you're not going to America then?
No. Not.
You're staying here?
So it would seem.
Number 2. 10 Things I Hate About You, The Taming of the Shrew. Do you think Shakespeare ever could have imagined that so many of his plays would end up being adapted into movies set in high schools?
I mean, you know, I could look into it.
Well, probably not, considering movies were a few centuries away from existing. But 10 Things I Hate About You was another film that took inspiration from his work, adapting the comedy The Taming of the Shrew. The basic plot of the two works is essentially the same, but updated to have a much more modern perspective on women and relationships.
I hate the way you talk to me and the way you cut your hair. I hate the way you drive my car. I hate it when you stare. I hate your big dumb combat boots and the way you read my mind.
Also, the movie has Heath Ledger, so it gets our vote if we had to pick a favorite.
Is that right?
Yeah, but I screwed up. I fell for it.
It really goes to show that some stories are really timeless. They just have to be dressed up a little differently. Before we unveil our top pick, here are a few honorable mentions.
Next one's the head. Move away from him, Julie.
I thought this would be hard for you to understand. You were created to be so young.
Before we continue, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. You have the option to be notified for occasional videos or all of them. If you're on your phone, make sure you go into your settings and switch on notifications. Number 1. Clueless. Emma. Clueless seems so steeped in 90s teen culture with its Valley Girl phrases and trendy outfits that it almost feels impossible for it to be based on a novel published in the early 1800s.
Ew! Get off of me! Ugh, as if!
Now, of course, Clueless doesn't meticulously follow the plot of Jane Austen's Emma, but the basic principles are the same.
I would just like to say that physical education in this school is a disgrace. I mean, standing in line for 40 minutes is hardly aerobically effective.
All of the major characters have counterparts in the book, and what really remains is the upbeat spirit and matchmaking prowess of the story's protagonist. There's a reason this 1995 movie never seems to get old. It's based on a work that has classic appeal.
Hey, Sherry, can you do this? Rolling with the homies.
Rolling with the homies.
Yeah, let's do it. You ready?
Do you agree with our picks? Check out this other recent clip from Ms. Mojo. And be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to be notified about our latest videos.